Hello, hello, my friends. AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink. Welcome back to my face, my card making space. More Halloween cards. Like I say, I will keep making Halloween cards right up till the day, maybe even on the day of. We'll see what happens. I filmed this one previously, finally got a chance to sit down, film an intro, edit, all the things. I went clean and simple, which for those that are new, hi. Don't expect clean and simple from me, hardly ever. I like to throw everything at my cards, but I had this idea and it just worked. I even did clean and simple controlled splatter. We'll get to it. Nothing I've ever done before, but it was fun. Very simple, limited supplies. I do think I checked right before I sat down to film this voiceover and then like this intro, and then when I get it uploaded, I think the background stamp I use is out of stock, but I'll have links to all the things in the description box below. A lot of you might have this background stamp. It's been around for a couple years. Everything but the little main die set that I use, the little pumpkins, is oldie but goodie products. But yeah, limited products, clean and simple, shocker, and really simple and easy to do, and it just works. And traditional Halloween colors, because you'll see. So, like I said, I'll have links to everything in the description box below the video. It is definitely worth checking out those links because, again, as of doing this voiceover, and I know when I get this posted, I've got a really good coupon code to share too, and there's like some Halloween stuff is on sale, different things. So check that all out below. My links are affiliate links. That just means that if you click on one of my links and end up placing an order, I get a little kickback from that at no extra cost to you. It is what helps pay the bills and keeps the channel going. And then at the very end of the video, I will post my link to my 2024 Halloween playlist where I've got all the videos I've done so far, and I'll just keep adding to it. And that's it for the housekeeping. Let's get into making these cards. So I'm using the Gothic Halloween background stamp. Any background stamp, even if you wanted to specifically do something like this and do a Halloween card, like a plaid would work, or like the leafy background one that I've used in a ton of videos and love, like kind of anything, because it's just here to add some pattern. And I have it face up on my desk. If you want a background to be stamped, I use perfectly with air quotes. You can't see me doing the air quotes, but if you want to be able to restamp your background or you're not sure, etc., stamp positioner for the win. I just, more often than not, it's just easier to put it face up on my work surface. And then I've got some black cardstock that I used my anti-static powder tool on, and that just helps prevent the embossing powder from clinging to anything other than the stamped image. And I inked up the stamp with clear embossing ink, and then press the cardstock into it, just using my fingers. We're good to go. I only, if I'm using like really dark inks or pigment inks, etc., then I'll usually add a piece of like scrap paper so I'm not getting ink all over my fingers and then ink spread, onto the card, etc. But when it's clear embossing ink, and I just kind of avoid it because I don't really like the clear embossing ink either on my hands because, it's sticky and that's, but still, you know what I mean? Anyway, after I stamped the image, I poured over Simon's clear embossing powder, tapped off the excess, and then I'm doing everything twice because, when I've got all the supplies out, why not make more than one? And then once I've got the embossing powder on here, I'm going to melt this with my heat tool. This is like so satisfying. I talk about this a lot. I don't think I'll ever get tired of heat embossing. Still magical, still fabulous. Metallic ones, especially the metallic embossing powders, when they melt, it's just so satisfying to my inner magpie. But melting clear embossing powder on dark cardstock is also incredibly satisfying. Like right there. I was like, woo. Love it. And I'd forgotten how much I like just clear heat embossing on dark cardstock. It doesn't have to be black, like any dark cardstock. It looks so good. It's such a great way to add some texture and some pattern, Love it so much. So after I'd melted both of these, I just used my little microfiber cloth to remove the excess anti-static powder. Just buffed it all away. And then I die cut these with a nesting circle wafer die and then set those aside. my main little characters for these cards is the Jolly Pumpkins little die set. And I absolutely love that it's got this second little die in the set that cuts these wonky little pumpkin pieces with the stems. And that's so you can back these so that they'll have their stems and a backing to, add the insides of their, little faces for the jack-o'-lanterns. So I die cut those pieces from white cardstock. I stuck everything to a grip mat just to hold everything in place so I can just do some really simple ink blending. For the glow portion, I used 2 shades of Positively Saturated inks. All of this is Positively Saturated inks. I used Lemonade and Zest for the yellows. For the stems, I used Allspice and Mocha. And I'll have everything listed and linked with the supplies as always. And then for the little pumpkins, I had die cut these from scraps of orange peel cardstock. And I added sherbet ink. And I've been using, these are all Waffle Flower Shader 1 Plus brushes. I just wanted something small, quick and easy. And then for this, I'm using a Shader 2 Plus brush from Waffle Flower because it's narrow and it's got a little bit of an angle on it. So I'm using that with Simon's Terracotta ink and just kind of following the piercing detail on these die cuts. So it just emphasizes it a bit and gives everything a little bit of extra depth and dimension while still being fairly quick and easy. And all of these inks will soften a bit and dry back. That's just the nature of them. So it won't be quite as intense as it looks right now on camera while the ink is still wet, but the dimension will still be there, which is exactly what I was going for. So I did all of that, and then off camera I ended up die cutting a couple more of the smaller pumpkins and the little backings because that's what I'll use on the inside of the cards. And once these were blended, I'm then just going to adhere them together with craft tacky glue. And I didn't even think of this until now, until I'm like editing, hindsight. What I should have done was pressed the clear embossing ink onto the yellow areas of this cardstock and covered it with glow-in-the-dark embossing powder. That would have been smart, and it would have looked really cool because then their little faces would glow in the dark. So there's an idea. I wasn't about to like completely redo, refilm, rip apart these cards to redo it, but it's an idea. I don't even think I've used my glow-in-the-dark embossing powder this year yet for my Halloween series. What is wrong with me? Anyway, I adhered my little pumpkins together with just craft tacky glue. And like I said in the intro, these are going to be clean and simple cards, but I also kind of make up for it by making the insides really busy. Because really, this is how I roll, I don't do clean and simple very often. And I always say with the rare times I do a little bit more clean and simple, I always kind of make up for it. Well, I think I just made up for it not in the next video. I just did it on the inside of the cards. So my card bases are top folding A2 white note cards. I put a piece of Post-it tape right where the score line is so I don't stamp past the score line. I've got the background stamp just face up on my desk, and I inked it up with Simon's flannel ink, just a light gray ink, and then stamp this onto what will be the inside of the card. So full pattern right across the entire inside of the card, so it ends up being quite busy. I am more than okay with this, and I can write over this with like a black pen. It'll be fine. So after I did that, I pulled out the Spooky Salutations sentiment strips, which I've used a bajillion times. I have repurchased this pack. I have lost track how many times now. Love them, and I'm going to have to purchase more because, I've hacked these apart and used so many, and they're great. So they're just pre-printed, and you've got all kinds of phrases, and Simon's got a bajillion of them for all occasions, sentiments, everything. I love them. So I trimmed them down, the ones I wanted to use, and then on the insides of the cards, I adhered my little extra small pumpkin. And then the sentiments I'm using on the insides, I decided to add the sherbet ink with the Shader 1 Plus brushes just to give these a little more color, and so they kind of stand out because the insides of these cards are quite busy. So just blended that onto these little sentiment strips, and then wipe up that orange ink before I get it smeared all over what will be my clean and simple cards. So clean that up, and then I can adhere these to the inside. So I've got my little pumpkin and my little sentiments. And then on the card fronts, I'm going to adhere the circles that I had heat embossed and die cut. So I'll adhere that into place, and then I'll flip the card over and just trim off the little excess I've got hanging over the side there. So I'll just trim that off with my scissors. And then my little jack-o'-lanterns, I'm going to pop up with some thin foam squares to just give them a little bit of dimension. So I'll pop these into place with foam squares. I'm going to do the same thing with the little sentiment strip. I'll just trim the foam squares into like strips narrow enough to fit. And then I'm going to tuck that into place. And then I'm going to add splatter. But rather than actually splatter it like I normally do, and sometimes it's like multiple types of splatter, I am pulling a leaf out of Carly T's book. I will link to her like blog and her Instagram. She does this, and I have been fascinated by it for a while. She does amazing, very clean and simple cards, but then she adds splatter like this with a marker. My mind was blown. I would never have thought to do this, because you guys have seen, I love to pull up my brush and my gouache and my splatter and my metallics and all the things, you know? I like this a lot. If you want like more controlled splatter, or you just really don't like how difficult it is to control splatter and it gets everywhere, or you're more of a clean and simple type person, this is a great way to just add that little bit. I love it. And I just use my little Memento Tuxedo block marker. Like any block marker will work for this. But if you're working on darker cardstock, like a white gel pen, you could do that, or a metallic gel pen. So many ideas. I love it. So I did that. And then I added some Mandarin Pawsitively Dazzling gems. And that finished off these cards. Like I said, like clean and simple. And yet I still managed to get splatter, just in a very controlled manner. And it was fun. So, like I said in the intro, I'll have links to all the things in the description box below the video. And then I'll link to Carly's blog and Instagram. Because if you don't follow her, you should check out her creations. She's really good. And yeah, that's it from me for the moment. Thank you all so very much for watching, thumbs upping, commenting, all the things. And I'll see you all very soon in the next one. Bye. Thank you so much to my amazing Patreon supporters. For anyone that might be interested in joining my Patreon community and supporting me, the link to my Patreon is in the description box below the video. For everyone else, as always, thank you all so much for taking the time to watch my videos, for thumbs upping, commenting, subscribe if you haven't, I'd love to have you. And here's a couple other videos for you to check out in case you missed them. Bye!